Jake Morrison wiped the sweat from his forehead as he looked at the broken alien ship. The metal was twisted and burned. Smoke rose from the crash site on the planet below. He had been a soldier for 3 years on the spaceship USS Endeavour. He had seen many strange things among the stars, but nothing like this. The planet Kepler 442b was supposed to be empty. Their scans showed no life, no cities, no people, just rocks and water and strange purple plants. But now there was a crashed ship, and someone was moving inside it. "Jake, be careful," said Captain Lisa Hayes through his radio. "We don't know what's in there." Jake held his weapon ready. His team moved slowly toward the wreck. The ship looked old, very old. The metal was not like anything humans made. It had symbols carved into the side, strange writing that hurt to look at. "There's someone alive in there," called out Sergeant Bill Jackson. "I can see movement." Jake pushed through the torn metal door. The inside of the ship was dark. Red lights flashed on and off. The air smelled like flowers and electricity. And there, sitting on the floor, was a girl. She was not human. Her skin was pale blue like ice. Her eyes were large and glowed with soft white light. She looked young, maybe 16 years old if she was human. Her hair was silver and moved like it was underwater. She wore simple clothes that seemed to be made of light itself. The girl was hurt. Blood ran from cuts on her arms. Blue blood, not red like humans had. She looked up at Jake with those glowing eyes. She seemed scared, but also hopeful. Jake lowered his weapon. "Hey, it's okay. We're here to help." The girl's eyes moved across Jake's uniform. She saw the patches on his arms, the name tag, the rank marks, and then she saw the flag. The American flag patch on his shoulder. Her glowing eyes went wide. She stared at the flag like she had seen a ghost. Her mouth opened. She made a sound like a gasp. Then she did something that shocked everyone. She got down on one knee. She bowed her head low, so low that her forehead touched the floor. Her whole body shook. "What the hell?" whispered Jackson. The girl spoke. Her voice was soft and musical. The words were not English, but the translation device in Jake's helmet picked up some of it. The computer voice spoke in his ear. "Liberators. The Liberators have returned." Jake looked at his team. They all had the same confused look. "Miss, can you understand me?" The girl lifted her head. Tears ran down her blue cheeks. She nodded. "Yes, I learned your language from the old songs. You are humans. You carry the sacred symbol." She pointed at Jake's flag patch with a shaking finger. "Sacred symbol?" Jake asked. "The star banner. The sign of freedom. My people have waited so long for you to come back." Dr. Sam Parker pushed through the team. He was the ship's doctor and scientist. "Come back? We've never been here before." The girl shook her head. "No, you have been here. Long ago. Before the great darkness fell, your people saved us. They taught us. They died for us." Jake felt a chill run down his back. "What's your name?" "I am Zara. I am of the Kelani people." "What remains of them?" Her voice was sad. "My world is gone. My family is gone. But I escaped to find you. The old songs said you would return when the darkness came back." Captain Hayes' voice crackled through the radio. "Jake, bring her up to the ship. We need to learn more." Jake held out his hand to Zara. She looked at it for a long moment. Then she reached out and took it. Her skin was warm despite being blue. She stood up slowly. "Thank you," she whispered. As they walked back to the shuttle, Zara kept looking at Jake's flag patch. She would not take her eyes off it. Other members of the team tried to talk to her, but she only wanted to speak to Jake. "Why do you keep looking at my flag?" Jake asked. "Because it is holy," Zara said. It is the symbol that freed 1,000 worlds. The symbol that brought hope to the darkness. My grandmother's grandmother saw it with her own eyes. When the star-touched ones came to save us from the hegemony. The hegemony? Zara's glowing eyes grew dark. The devourers, the slavers, the ones who take freedom from all living things. They ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. Until your people came. Jake felt confused. Earth had only been traveling in space for a few hundred years. They had never met aliens before. How could humans have fought in some ancient war? On the shuttle ride up to the USS Endeavor, Zara told them more. She spoke of legends passed down through generations. Stories of brave humans who came from a small blue world. They carried weapons that threw metal instead of energy. They fought with courage that made no sense. They never gave up, even when they were outnumbered 1,000,000 to 1. They taught us that every being has the right to be free, Zara said. That no one should bow to tyrants. That people should choose their own leaders. These ideas were new to the galaxy. Revolutionary. Dangerous. Dr. Parker was recording everything. If this is true, where are the records? Where is the proof? Zara smiled sadly. Hidden. Protected. Kept safe for the day you would return. I can show you, if you take me to the old places. When they reached the USS Endeavor, Captain Hayes was waiting. She was a tough woman who had fought in many battles. But even she seemed shaken by what she had heard. Zara, the captain said, you're welcome on our ship, but I need to know the truth. Are you in danger? Are we in danger? Zara looked at each of them. Her glowing eyes were full of pain. The hegemony has returned. They sleep for thousands of years, then wake up to destroy what they have lost. They know the human idea spread again. They know freedom grows in the galaxy. They are coming to finish what they started. Jake felt his heart race. Coming where? To the source, Zara said. To the small blue world where the liberators came from. To Earth. The shuttle bay was quiet. Everyone stared at the alien girl who had bowed to a simple flag patch. A flag that somehow meant more than any of them had ever imagined. Captain Hayes spoke into her radio. All senior staff to the briefing room. Priority Alpha. We have a problem. As they walked through the ship's corridors, crew members stopped to stare at Zara. She ignored them all. She only had eyes for Jake and the flag on his arm. The flag that had somehow become a symbol of hope for an entire galaxy. Jake had joined the military to serve his country, to explore space and make first contact with alien life. He never expected that first contact would be with someone who already knew about humans, someone who had been waiting for them to return. The galaxy was much bigger and more dangerous than anyone on Earth had imagined. And somehow, humanity was already part of a story that began thousands of years ago. Story written in blood and sacrifice and hope. A story that was far from over. Jake sat across from Zara in the ship's meeting room. The alien girl had been given clean clothes and medical care. Her cuts were healing fast. Too fast. Dr. Parker said her body could fix itself in ways humans could not understand. Tell us about the old stories, Captain Hayes said. Tell us about the humans who came before. Zara closed her glowing eyes. When she opened them, they were full of sadness. It was 3,000 years ago. The hegemony ruled everything, every world, every people. They made us slaves. They took our children. They killed anyone who spoke of freedom. She stood up and walked to the window. Outside, stars filled the black sky. The hegemony was everywhere. Their ships were like cities. Their weapons could destroy planets. No one could fight them. No one even tried anymore. Jake leaned forward. What changed? You did, Zara said. Humans came in small ships. Weak ships. Your weapons were simple. Bullets and bombs. Nothing compared to energy weapons. The hegemony laughed at you. Commander Rick Thompson, the ship's historian, was writing down everything. How many humans were there? Not many. Maybe a few thousand. Spread across many worlds. You should have been destroyed in days, but you were not. Zara turned back to face them. You fought differently. You did not fight to conquer. You fought to free. You went to slave worlds and broke the chains. You taught people to think for themselves. You showed them that they did not have to obey. Captain Hayes frowned. That sounds like a suicide mission. It was, Zara said. Your people knew they would die, but they did it anyway. They said freedom was worth more than life. This was a new idea in the galaxy. Most people thought survival was all that mattered. Jake looked at the flag on his uniform. It was just cloth and thread, but to Zara, it was something holy. What happened to them? The humans who fought? Zara's voice became very quiet. They died, all of them. But not before they changed everything. They united the slave worlds. They taught us to fight back. They gave us hope. Dr. Parker looked up from his notes. If they all died, how do you know so much about them? Because they left teachers behind, humans who stayed to train us, to help us build new governments, to show us how to live free. They taught us your language, your customs, your way of thinking. She walked to Jake and pointed at his flag again. They told us about this symbol, about the country it came from, about the ideas it stood for. They said someday more humans would come from the star called Earth, and when they did, we should remember. Commander. Thompson looked puzzled. But we have no record of this on Earth. No history of space travel thousands of years ago. Zara nodded. Because the humans who came here were not from your time. They were from your future. The room went silent. Jake felt his heart stop. Our future? Time moves strangely in space, Zara said. The hegemony learned to twist it. 2. Move forward and backward. The humans who saved us came from many different times. Some from your past, some from your future, but all from Earth. Captain Hayes stood up. That's impossible. Is it? Zara asked. You travel between stars. You talk across vast distances. You do many things that once seemed impossible. Why not time? Jake's mind was racing. So somewhere in our future, humans will learn to travel through time, and they'll come back to fight this war. They already have, Zara said. The war is over. The hegemony was defeated. The galaxy was free for 3,000 years. But now they are waking up. And they are angry. Dr. Parker leaned forward. You said you could show us proof, evidence of these ancient humans. Zara smiled. For the first time since they found her. Yes, but we must go to the sacred places, the hidden places, where the truth is kept safe. Captain Hayes looked at her officers. It's too dangerous. If this hegemony is really out there, we can't risk the ship. You must, Zara said, because they are coming for Earth. They know that your world is the source of the ideas that destroyed them. They will not make the same mistake twice. Jake felt cold. What do you mean? Before, they tried to rule the galaxy. Now they just want to destroy it, starting with Earth. They will not stop until every human is dead and every world that remembers. Freedom is burned. The room was quiet for a long moment. Then Captain Hayes spoke. Where do we need to go? Zara's eyes glowed brighter. To Kepler 442b, the planet where you found me. There are ruins there, old temples, hidden chambers, places where the ancient humans left their mark. 2 hours later, Jake was back on the planet's surface. This time, he was with a full team. Scientists, soldiers, and Zara. She led them away from the crash site toward a range of purple mountains. "The sacred place is here," she said, pointing to what looked like a natural cave, hidden from the hegemony for 3,000 years. Inside the cave, Jake's flashlight showed walls covered in carvings, strange symbols mixed with familiar ones. And there, carved deep in the stone, was an American flag. "My God," whispered Dr. Parker. Zara touched the carving gently. "This was made by Captain John Davis. He was the first human to set foot on our world. He died defending our capital city. But not before he taught us to fight back." Jake stared at the name carved below the flag. John Davis. It was a simple name, an ordinary name. But this ordinary human had somehow traveled through time to save an alien world. They went deeper into the cave. The walls showed battles between humans and strange creatures. Humans teaching aliens to read. Humans showing aliens how to build things. And everywhere, the American flag. "Look at this," called Commander Thompson. He was standing in front of a metal door. Human words were carved into it. "Freedom is not free. It must be earned by each generation." The door opened when Zara touched it. Inside was a room filled with human technology. Weapons, computers, and uniforms. All of it thousands of years old, but somehow still working. Jake picked up a helmet. It was like the ones they wore, but different, more advanced. "How is this possible?" "Your people were clever," Zara said. "They learned fast. They adapted. They took alien technology and made it better. They had to. They were outnumbered 1,000,000 to 1. Dr. Parker found a computer that was still running. The screen showed star maps and battle plans. And there, in the corner, was a small image of Earth. "Home. They never forgot where they came from," Zara said, "even when they knew they would never go home again. They fought for Earth, for the ideas Earth gave them, for the freedom Earth taught them to value." Jake found a message board. Hundreds of names were written on it, human names. Each one was marked with a date and a place. "These are all the humans who died here." "No," Zara said. "These are all the humans who lived here, who chose to stay and help us build a new world." Death was easy. Living was hard. As they explored the hidden chamber, Jake began to understand. These were not just soldiers. They were teachers, builders, and leaders. They had given up everything to help an alien people learn to be free. "Why?" Jake asked. "Why would they do this?" Zara looked at him with those glowing eyes. "Because that is what humans do. You cannot stand to see others in chains. You cannot watch suffering and do nothing. It is in your nature. It is what makes you special." They found weapons that had never been used, supplies that had been saved for emergencies, and everywhere, signs that humans had lived here, had made this place their home. "The hegemony never found this place," Zara said. "They looked for 1,000 years, but my people kept the secret. We protected it. We waited." Jake understood now. The flag on his uniform was not just a symbol of his country. It was a symbol of hope for an entire galaxy. It carried the weight of sacrifice and courage and love. "What do we do now?" he asked. Zara smiled. "Now we prepare. The hegemony is coming. But this time, you will not face them alone. This time, the galaxy will fight with you." As they left the sacred chamber, Jake looked back at the carved flag one last time. Somewhere in the future, he might be called to make the same choice as Captain John Davis, to leave home forever, to fight for people he had never met, to die for ideas that mattered more than life itself. The thought should have scared him. Instead, it made him proud. Proud to be human. Proud to carry the flag that had become a beacon of hope among the stars. Jake woke up to red lights flashing in his room. The ship's alarm was screaming. He rolled out of bed and grabbed his uniform. Something was wrong. "All hands to battle stations," Captain Hayes' voice echoed through the ship. "This is not a drill." Jake ran to the bridge. Officers were rushing around, checking computers and weapons. Captain Hayes stood in the center, her face hard and worried. "What's happening?" Jake asked. "Long-range sensors picked up something big," said Lieutenant Commander Amy Foster. She was the ship's weapons expert. "Really big, and it's moving fast." On the main screen, Jake could see space. But there was something dark moving between the stars. Something that blocked out the light. "How big?" Captain Hayes asked. "Bigger than a city," Foster said. "Maybe bigger than a small moon." "And Captain, it's not alone." The screen changed. Now Jake could see dozens of dark shapes moving through space. They were heading toward human space, toward Earth. "The hegemony," whispered Zara. "She had been brought to the bridge when the alarm started. They have awakened." Jake looked at the alien girl. In the red light, her blue skin looked purple. Her glowing eyes were wide with fear. "Are you sure?" "I am sure," Zara said. "I have seen their ships before, when they destroyed my world, when they killed my people." Dr. Parker was studying the sensor readings. "The energy signatures are incredible. These ships are powered by something we don't understand. Something that makes our reactors look like candles." Captain Hayes turned to Zara. "How long do we have?" Zara closed her eyes. Jake could see her thinking, calculating. "At their current speed, maybe 3 days to reach the outer colonies. 1 week to reach Earth." 1 week, Jake repeated. It seemed impossible. A week ago, they thought they were alone in the galaxy. Now they were about to face an enemy that had ruled the stars for thousands of years. "We need to warn Earth," Captain Hayes said. "All colonies, all ships, everyone." Foster shook her head. "Captain, even if we warn them, what can they do? Look at those ships. Our weapons can't even scratch them." "The ancient humans found a way," Zara said quietly. "They were weaker than you are now, but they still won." Jake turned to her. "How? How did they do it?" "They did not fight the hegemony with weapons," Zara said. "They fought them with ideas. They turned the hegemony's own slaves against them. They made the oppressed people remember what freedom felt like." Commander Thompson was already working on the ship's communications. "I'm sending messages to all human colonies, warning them about the approaching fleet." "It will not be enough," Zara said. "The hegemony has learned from their last defeat. This time, they will not try to rule. They will simply destroy." Jake felt his stomach drop. "What do you mean?" "Before, they wanted to keep the galaxy alive so they could rule it. Now they just want to end it. They will burn every world that ever heard of freedom. They will kill every species that ever dreamed of liberty." The bridge was quiet except for the hum of computers. Everyone was thinking the same thing. "How do you fight an enemy that wants to destroy everything?" "There is one hope," Zara said. "The old network. The hidden alliance. It still exists." Captain Hayes raised an eyebrow. "What network?" "When the ancient humans freed the slave worlds, they did not just leave them alone. They connected them. They built a secret network of free worlds, hidden from the hegemony. It has been waiting for 3,000 years. Jake felt a spark of hope. "Are you saying there are other free worlds out there? Other people who remember the humans?" Zara nodded. "Hundreds of worlds, thousands of ships, millions of people who learned about freedom from your ancestors. They have been preparing for this day." Foster looked skeptical. "If this network exists, why didn't they help you when your world was attacked?" Zara's glowing eyes filled with tears. "Because my people were the Watchers. We were supposed to warn the network when the hegemony returned. But they came too fast. Too strong. I barely escaped. So the network doesn't know the hegemony is back? Jake asked. They know now, Zara said. My escape ship sent a signal before it crashed. The old codes. The ancient warnings. By now, every free world in the galaxy knows the darkness has returned. Captain Hayes made a decision. Set course for the nearest colony. We need to get this information to Earth Command. They need to know what's coming. Wait, Zara said. There is something else. Something important. The hegemony is not just angry about the old defeat. They are afraid. Afraid of what? Jake asked. Of you, Zara said, looking at him. Of humans. They know that your people are the key to freedom. They know that as long as humans exist, the galaxy will never submit to slavery. Jake felt a chill. So they're coming to destroy Earth first. Yes, but not just Earth. They are coming to destroy the idea of Earth. The idea that people can be free. The idea that no one has to bow to tyrants. The ship shook suddenly. Red lights flashed brighter. Foster checked her instruments. We're being scanned. Something big is out there. On the screen, a new shape appeared. It was dark and massive, covered in spikes and armor. It looked like a giant metal beast floating in space. Hegemony's scout ship, Zara whispered. They found us. Can we fight it? Captain Hayes asked. Foster shook her head. Our weapons would bounce off that thing like pebbles. And we run, the captain said. All power to engines. Get us out of here. But the enemy ship was faster. It moved like a living thing, smooth and quick. Jake watched on the screen as it got closer and closer. They're charging weapons, Foster reported. Energy readings are off the charts. Jake thought about the ancient humans in the cave. They had faced odds like this every day. They had no chance of winning, but they fought anyway, because some things were worth fighting for. Wait, Zara said suddenly. I have an idea. She ran to the communications panel. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls. She was entering something in her own language. What are you doing? Captain Hayes asked. Sending a message, Zara said. In the old codes, the freedom codes. Every ship in the network will hear it. The enemy ship was almost close enough to fire. Jake could see weapons powering up along its dark hull. In a few seconds, they would all be dead. Then something incredible happened. Ships began appearing out of nowhere. Not human ships. Alien ships. Dozens of them. All different sizes and shapes, but all flying the same symbol, the American flag. Each ship had painted their own version of the stars and stripes. Some had different colors. Some had different numbers of stars. But they all carried the same message. The same hope. The network, Zara said, smiling through her tears. They came. The alien ships surrounded the hegemony scout. Their weapons charged up. The enemy ship tried to turn and run, but it was too late. Light filled the screen as the free worlds fought back. When the light faded, the hegemony ship was gone, destroyed by the children of freedom that the ancient humans had left behind. Jake's radio crackled with voices. Alien voices speaking in dozens of languages. But the translation came through clearly. This is Captain Vex of the Altarian Free Navy. We stand with our human brothers. This is Commander Thane of the Rigel Defense Force. The old alliance lives. This is Admiral Kree of the Centauri Liberation Fleet. We remember the lessons of the star-touched ones. One by one, the alien ships reported in. Each one pledged to fight alongside humanity. Each one remembered the sacrifice of the ancient humans. Captain Hayes looked at Zara. How many ships are out there? Zara's eyes glowed brighter. Thousands. Maybe tens of thousands. All across the galaxy. All waiting for the signal to fight. Jake felt something he had never felt before. Pride mixed with responsibility. Fear mixed with hope. The flag on his uniform was no longer just a symbol of his country. It was a symbol of freedom for an entire galaxy. What do we do now? He asked. Zara looked at the screen where the Allied ships were gathering. Now we go to war. But this time, we do not fight alone. This time, the galaxy fights with us. The USS Endeavour turned toward Earth, escorted by ships from 100 different worlds. Behind them, the massive hegemony fleet continued its advance. But now humanity had allies. They had friends among the stars. The final battle for freedom was about to begin. Jake stood on the observation deck of the USS Endeavour, watching the most incredible sight he had ever seen. Ships filled the space around them. Thousands of ships from hundreds of different worlds, all flying variations of the American flag. The Altarian ships had blue flags with silver stars. The Rigelians used green with gold stripes. The Centauri painted their flags in colors that human eyes could barely see. But every single flag carried the same message: freedom, hope, resistance. "It's beautiful," said Dr. Parker, standing beside him. "I never imagined our flag would mean so much to so many people." Jake nodded. In the past week, alien delegations had been arriving constantly. Each group brought their own story of how the ancient humans had saved their world, how they had taught them to fight back against the hegemony. "The network is bigger than we thought," said Zara, joining them at the window. "Ships are still coming. The call has gone out to every free world in the galaxy." Through the window, Jake could see Earth in the distance. Home. It looked so small and peaceful from here. Hard to believe it was the center of a galactic war. "How many ships do we have now?" Jake asked. "Over 10,000, Zara said, and more arriving every hour. The hegemony thought they had destroyed the resistance, but it just went underground. It waited." Captain Hayes' voice came over the intercom. "All senior staff to the main briefing room. We have new intelligence about the enemy." Jake, Zara, and Dr. Parker made their way through the ship's corridors. Everywhere they went, crew members stopped to look at Zara. She had become famous among the humans. The alien girl who had recognized the power of their flag dot in the briefing room. Representatives from dozens of alien races were gathered. They all looked different. Some were tall and thin. Others were short and covered in fur. Some had extra arms or eyes or tentacles. But they all wore the same expression: determination. "The hegemony main fleet will reach Earth in 2 days, Captain," Hayes announced. "Our scouts report that they have over 1,000 ships. Each one is the size of a city." A murmur went through the room. Even with all their allies, they were outnumbered. "However," the captain continued, "we have discovered something important. The hegemony is not just coming to destroy Earth. They're coming to destroy the idea of Earth." Commander Thompson stepped forward. "We've been analyzing their communications. They're not just planning to attack our planet. They're planning to attack our history, our culture, our memory." Jake frowned. "What do you mean?" "They have weapons that can erase history," Zara said quietly. "They can make it so that humans never existed, so that the idea of freedom never spread to the galaxy." The room fell silent. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. That's impossible. The hegemony has had 10,000 years to develop their technology, said Captain Vex, the Altarian commander. They have learned to manipulate time itself. They plan to go back and prevent the first humans from ever leaving Earth. Dr. Parker looked pale. If they succeed, none of this will have happened. The liberation of the slave worlds, the spread of freedom, all of it will be undone. But there's something they don't understand, Zara said, something the ancient humans discovered. The power of the flag is not just symbolic, it's real. Jake looked at the patch on his uniform. Real how? When beings truly believe in freedom, they become connected, Zara explained. Connected across time and space. The ancient humans found that when enough people believed in liberty, they could change reality itself. Engineer Tony Martinez had been quiet until now. Are you saying the flag has some kind of power? Not the flag, Zara said. The belief, the hope, the willingness to fight for freedom. When millions of beings share that belief, it becomes a force of nature. She walked to the center of the room. The hegemony rules through fear. They make people believe that resistance is impossible, that slavery is natural, that freedom is just a dream. But you've proven them wrong, said Admiral Kree, the Centauri commander. You've shown that freedom can spread, that it can grow, that it can defeat tyranny. Jake was beginning to understand. So the more people who believe in freedom, the stronger we become? Exactly, Zara said. The ancient humans understood this. That's why they didn't just fight the hegemony. They taught others to fight. They spread the idea of liberty like a virus. Captain Hayes stood up. So what do we do? How do we use this power? Zara smiled. We do what humans do best. We inspire others. We show them that freedom is possible. We make them believe. Over the next 2 days, something amazing happened. The story of the returning humans spread across the galaxy, not just to the free worlds, but to the slave worlds as well. Planets that had been under hegemony control for thousands of years began to rebel. Jake watched the reports come in. Slave colonies were rising up. Hegemony governors were being overthrown. Entire systems were declaring independence. They're not waiting for us to save them, he said in wonder. They're saving themselves. That's the true power of the flag. Zara said, it doesn't just represent freedom. It inspires others to fight for their own freedom. The rebellion was spreading faster than anyone had expected. The hegemony was having to divide their forces. Instead of sending everything to Earth, they were having to fight on 100 different fronts. Sir, reported Lieutenant Foster, we're getting signals from inside the hegemony fleet. Some of their own ships are turning against them. Jake felt his heart race. Their own ships? Yes, sir. Ships crewed by species that were conquered long ago. They're remembering what the ancient humans taught them. They're choosing freedom over slavery. On the main screen, Jake could see the hegemony fleet approaching. But now it was smaller than before, and it was being followed by ships that had changed sides. The revolution is spreading to their own forces, said Dr. Parker. They're losing control, but the core of the hegemony fleet was still massive, still dangerous. The great command ship at the center was the size of a small moon. It bristled with weapons that could destroy planets. That's where their emperor is, Zara said. The one who has ruled for 10,000 years. He's the source of their power. Jake studied the enemy ship. It was dark and twisted, covered in spikes and armor. It looked like something from a nightmare. How do we fight that? He asked. We don't, Zara said. We don't fight with weapons. We fight with hope. She turned to address the room. The emperor gains his power from the fear and despair of his subjects. But when people stop being afraid, when they start believing in freedom, his power weakens. So we need to make the galaxy believe, Jake said. Yes, and there's only one way to do that. Someone needs to carry the flag to the emperor himself. Someone needs to show him that freedom cannot be destroyed. The room was quiet. Everyone knew what that meant. It was a suicide mission. I'll go, Jake said without hesitation. No, said Captain Hayes. I won't send my people on a suicide mission. It's not suicide, Zara said. It's hope. And hope is the one thing the hegemony cannot destroy. Jake looked around the room at all the alien faces. Representatives of worlds that had been freed by humans they had never met. People who had kept the flame of liberty burning for 3,000 years. I'll go with you, Zara said. My people were the keepers of the old knowledge. I know the way into the Emperor's ship. "And I'll go too," said Captain Vex. "The Altarians owe their freedom to the ancient humans. It's time to repay that debt." One by one, volunteers stepped forward. Regellians, Centauri, humans, and dozens of other species, all willing to risk everything for freedom. "We'll take a small ship," Jake said, "fast and quiet. Get to the Emperor's ship before they know we're coming." "And then what?" asked Dr. Parker. Jake looked at the flag on his uniform. The same flag that had inspired revolutions across the galaxy. "Then we show them what freedom looks like." The plan was simple. While the main fleet engaged the hegemony forces, Jake's team would slip through the battle and board the Emperor's ship. They would carry the flag to the heart of the enemy and show the galaxy that freedom could not be stopped. As they prepared to leave, Jake felt the weight of history on his shoulders. The ancient humans had made this same choice. They had left everything behind to fight for strangers on distant worlds. Now it was his turn. "Are you ready?" Zara asked. Jake touched the flag patch on his uniform. "I'm ready." Their ship was small and fast. It slipped through the battle like a fish through water. Around them, the greatest space battle in galactic history was taking place. Ships from 1,000 worlds fought against the dark fleet of the hegemony. "Look," said Captain Vex, pointing out the window. Jake could see it. All across the battlefield, ships were flying the flag. Different versions, different colors, but all carrying the same message. The message that had started on a small blue world and spread across the galaxy. "We're not just fighting for Earth," Jake realized. "We're fighting for the idea that Earth represents. The idea that all beings deserve to be free," Zara said. "That's what the ancient humans gave us. That's what we're going to give back to the galaxy." The Emperor's ship loomed ahead of them. Dark and massive, it seemed to swallow the light around it, but Jake wasn't afraid. He was carrying something more powerful than any weapon. He was carrying hope. As their ship approached the enemy, Jake could feel it. The faith of billions of beings across the galaxy. All of them believing in freedom. All. Jake's small ship shook as it flew through the battle. Explosions lit up the darkness around them. The war for the galaxy's freedom had begun. "There," Zara pointed ahead. "The docking bay. If we can get inside, I can guide us to the Emperor." The hegemony command ship was like a dark city floating in space. It was covered in weapons and armor. Jake could see thousands of smaller ships swarming around it like angry insects. "How do we get past all those defenses?" asked Captain Vex. Jake looked at the flag on his uniform. "We trust in what this represents." Their ship flew straight toward the enemy. Jake expected to be shot down any second. But something strange happened. The enemy ships seemed confused. They moved slowly, like they were fighting against their own programming. "The crews are fighting back," Zara said with wonder. "The beings, forced to serve the hegemony, are remembering their freedom." Jake watched as some enemy ships stopped firing completely. Others turned and began attacking their own fleet. The revolution was spreading even here, in the heart of the hegemony. "The Emperor's power is weakening," Zara said. "He controls through fear. But when people stop being afraid, his control breaks." They slipped through the chaos and landed in the docking bay. The ship was huge inside. The corridors were dark and cold. Strange symbols covered the walls. Jake could feel the weight of 10,000 years of tyranny pressing down on him. "This way," Zara whispered. "The Emperor's throne room is at the center of the ship." They moved through the corridors carefully. Sometimes they saw enemy soldiers, but many of them just stood still, like they were waking up from a long dream. "The Emperor is losing his grip," said Captain Vex. "His own people are breaking free. They reached a massive door made of dark metal. Strange energy flowed around it. Jake could feel power on the other side. Ancient power. Evil power. He's in there, Zara said. The one who has ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. The one who destroyed my world. Jake took a deep breath. He thought about the ancient humans who had made this same choice. They had walked into certain death to give others a chance at freedom. Whatever happens, he said, remember what we're fighting for. The door opened slowly. Inside was a throne. Room the size of a football field. The walls were covered in images of conquered worlds, dead civilizations. Broken peoples dot, and at the center, on a throne made of dark crystal, sat the Emperor. He was not what Jake had expected. He looked almost human, but wrong somehow. His skin was pale as death. His eyes were empty black holes. Then he spoke. His voice echoed from everywhere at once. So, the Emperor said, the children of the star-touched ones have come to die. Jake stepped forward. He could feel the Emperor's power trying to crush his mind. But he held on to the flag, held on to what it meant. We're not here to die, Jake said. We're here to live free. The Emperor laughed. The sound was like breaking glass. Free? You understand nothing. Freedom is chaos. Order is peace. I bring order to the galaxy. You bring slavery, Zara said. You bring death. I bring stability, the Emperor replied. For 10,000 years, I have ruled in peace. Then your people came. They filled the galaxy with dangerous ideas. They taught others to rebel. They brought war and suffering. Jake felt anger rising in his chest. They brought hope. Hope is a lie, the Emperor said. I will show you truth. The Emperor raised his hand. Power flowed from him like a dark wave. Jake felt it trying to enter his mind, trying to make him despair, trying to make him give up. But then he heard something. Voices, thousands of them, millions of them, coming from across the galaxy. People were singing. Aliens and humans together. They were singing the old songs, the freedom songs that the ancient humans had taught them. Do you hear that? Jake asked. The Emperor's face showed confusion. What is this? It's the galaxy waking up, Zara said. It's people remembering that they don't have to be afraid. The voices grew louder. Jake could hear them in his mind. In his heart. Beings from 1,000 worlds, all singing the same song. The song of freedom. The Emperor's power began to weaken. The dark energy around him flickered like a dying flame. Impossible, he whispered. They are weak. They are nothing. They are everything, Jake said. He pulled the flag from his uniform. The simple piece of cloth seemed to glow in the dark throne room. This is what you never understood. Freedom isn't about being strong. It's about choosing to be brave. Jake held the flag high. Around the galaxy, he could feel others doing the same. On ships and planets and space stations, beings of every species, all holding their own versions of the flag. The Emperor screamed. His form began to change. The human shape fell away, revealing something terrible underneath. Something made of shadow and fear and despair. I am eternal. The thing shrieked. I am order. I am control. You are nothing, Zara said. You are just the fear that lives in people's hearts. And we are not afraid anymore. The Emperor's power broke like a dam bursting. Light filled the throne room. Not the harsh light of energy weapons, but the warm light of hope. The light of Vide. Freedom. Jake felt the Emperor's presence fade away. 10,000 years of tyranny were ending. The galaxy was free, but the victory came with a price. The Emperor's ship was breaking apart. Explosions echoed through the corridors. They had to get out. This way, Captain Vex called out. The docking bay. They ran through the collapsing ship. Behind them, the throne room was filling with light. The light of 1 billion freed minds. The light of hope reborn. They reached their ship just as the Emperor's vessel began to tear itself apart. As they flew away, Jake watched the massive ship die. With it died the last symbol of the old tyranny. But around them, the galaxy was singing. Ships from every world were broadcasting the freedom songs. The revolution had spread to every corner of space. "It's over," Zara said, tears streaming down her blue face. "The hegemony is finished." Jake looked at the flag in his hands. It was just cloth and thread, but it had helped free an entire galaxy. "What happens now?" he asked. "Now we build," said Captain Vex. "We build a new galaxy, one where every being can choose their own path." In the days that followed, Jake watched as the galaxy changed. Worlds that had been slaves for thousands of years were learning to govern themselves. Species that had been enemies were working together. The ancient dream of the first humans was finally coming true. Jake stood on the observation deck of the USS Endeavour, watching Earth in the distance. Home looked the same, but everything was different now. Humanity was no longer alone in the galaxy. They had family among the stars. "The new Galactic Council wants to meet on Earth," Captain Hayes told him. "Representatives from every free world. They want to see where it all began." Jake smiled. "What will they find?" "The same thing the ancient humans found," Zara said, joining them. "The idea that all beings deserve to be free. That governments should serve the people, not the other way around. That freedom is worth any price." Jake looked at the flag patch on his uniform. Soon there would be a new flag. A galactic flag, with stars representing every free world. But it would still carry the same message, the same hope. "The ancient humans would be proud," he said. "They are proud," Zara replied. "Somewhere in time, they can see what their sacrifice accomplished. They can see that their fight was not in vain." Jake thought about Captain John Davis and all the other humans who had died fighting for freedom in the stars. They had never made it home to Earth, but they had given the galaxy something better than their lives. They had given it hope. As the USS Endeavour headed toward Earth, Jake could see ships from every world following them, all flying variations of the flag, all carrying the dream of freedom. The galaxy was free. The flag flew among the stars. And somewhere in time, the ancient humans were smiling. The greatest story ever told was just beginning. The story of a galaxy, united not by conquest, but by the simple idea that every being deserved to choose their own destiny. And at the heart of it all was a piece of cloth with stars and stripes, a symbol that had traveled from a small blue world to the farthest reaches of space, a symbol that had united the galaxy under one simple truth. Freedom was not just an idea. It was a way of life. And now it would shine among the stars forever.